Welcome to episode 3 of the Neo News Today podcast. My name is Dean, and today we're going to be talking to Shenbi Xu from Zeepin about their upcoming decentralized innovation community platform, which is looking to alleviate many of the pain points in the creative industry, such as finding talent, protecting copyright, licensing assets, and insurance. Shenbi is going to tell us all about that. But first, here are some upcoming dates that you should be aware of. Neo are right in the middle of their European tour. Next on the list is the Hamburg Community Meetup, which is taking place on the 12th. Following that will be Amsterdam on the 13th, which sold over 400 tickets in 6 hours. Don't worry if you can't make it or if you've missed out on that one, as we will be streaming it live on Neo News Today. There is also a Neo Programming Day being held in Shanghai on the 13th, and on the 15th, the Key will be holding their public crowd sale. On the 18th, Zeepin's pre-sale opens, with a public sale starting on the 20th. The 20th is also the final date of Neo's Europe run, with a meetup in Vienna. On the 25th, submissions open for the second COS DAP Comp, which has 13,500 GASIM prizes up for grabs. And rounding off the month on the 30th and 31st is the very first Neo DevCon in San Francisco. For more information on all these events, you can visit neonewstoday.com, click our calendar, and you'll find links to speaker lineups, RSVP links, and many more resources. So with that out of the way, let's move on to the interview. On the line, I have Shenbi Xu, co-founder and chief strategy officer of Zeepin. Shenbi is the former chief strategy officer of Arting365, and he's the main designer of the Z-Rights business procedure. Thanks for joining us today, Shenbi. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you, Dean. I think it's a great opportunity for me to introduce Zeepin to the audience on New News Today. Thank you.
Excellent. I'm sure they're very excited to hear from you. So, Zeepin is an interesting project, and you describe it as a decentralized innovation community for the distributed creative new economy. So, before we talk about what Zeepin does, I think it's important that our listeners understand what this creative new economy actually is. So can you start by telling us a little bit about that and then explain how Zeepin will support this creative new economy?
Of course. Distributed means in the blockchain based, okay? And new economy means a smart economy, and the core concept, includes digital identity, digital assets, and smart contract. And creative means we are going to do for the cultural and the creative industries. It's actually very huge. So you are in North America, I'm in China. So in North America, the cultural and creative industry created the output of about 620 billion and also 4.7 million job opportunities. And in China, the output is about 460 billion, accounting for more than 4% of the GDP. So Zeepin Chain is committed to becoming, the world's leading blockchain-based innovation, transaction, and also creative project crowdfunding platform for the global cultural and creative industry. So we aim to help organizations and individuals improve the innovation efficiency and incubate a large number of creative organizations. So Zeepin is also an ecosystem with multiple D apps, okay, including like Z-Rise, Z-Sure, Z-Create, Z-Fund that we'll introduce later. So these D apps can solve the problems related to the protection of innovation, copyright, talent recruitment, and also remote cooperation, project financing, etc. Okay, so through the trust system based on the blockchain technology, we can improve the collaboration and reduce the cost and speed up the organic integration of all participants in the cultural and the creative industry. Okay, so in short, we help innovators change the world.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it sounds like it's kind of like a project management platform, something like maybe like a Basecamp or Jira or something like that, crossed with Kickstarter, crossed with something like a freelancer.com. Is that kind of what you're going for here?
Yes, yeah, it could be similar platforms or websites like we already have today, but they are still a little bit different. So, for example, the Z Fund, which is our also the app, is the creative project crowdfunding platform. So basically, we can call it like Kickstarter, but it is decentralized, and we are also going to use like a Zeepin token, you know, and we also have some other like digital identity and the decentralized or autonomous project teams. So it's a little bit different. But basically, we still hope that we can solve for these, the people and organizations in this culture and creative industry. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So as you mentioned, there are a bunch of different dApps that are being built on top of your platform, such as Zcrew, Zwrite, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And I thought
Yes.
then rather than just going over the functionality of these one by one, it might be useful
Mm-hmm.
to our listeners and anyone interested in Zeepin, if we went through some different use case scenarios, different projects, and walk through the user experience of what it would be like to get set up on Zeepin and bring a project onto the platform, and what these different applications, like when they would come into play, how the ZPT token would be used, and so on and so forth. So is that something you're game to try?
Yes. Yeah. Sure.
Sure. Okay. So I've got a few different scenarios and they kind of increase in complexity, right? So the first one is very
Okay.
simple. Let's just say that Neo News Today decided that we wanted to find some writers on Zeepin and we wanted to pay them in ZPT. So starting from when Neo News Today would register on the platform, what would be the process here?
Oh, okay. Yeah. So first, I think New News Today can try to find the writers through our the app, which is Z Talent. Okay.
Okay.
So Z Talent will help you, recruit the talent. So basically, we have, we will use digital identity. Okay, so every user of this community will have a digital identity. So we also have an internal multi-source identity system, and we'll also use a credit score. And we will also work with ontology team so that we can share some data, from the ontology ID, etc., etc. So this can be a recruiting a website, but the difference is the resume certification system. I mean, the information is encrypted, okay, and stored on blockchain. So only the authorized user can open. Okay. Yeah, and we will assure the authenticity of those information, like the education, the work experience. So the other people can read it and also sign on it with a timestamp, etc. Okay. So, but at the same time, we can when you are authorized, you should pay a few ZPTs to open the encrypted, information. And the candidate can also get a certain amount of, we call it the credit score, which can be exchanged to ZPT. So this should be a very low cost and efficient way to get really good talent for, the New News Today as writers. Okay, but this is a way to recruiting people, and you need to also manage the team, right? The team of your writers in future. So you can also use the we call it Zcrew, which is another the app. Okay. So with Zcrew, you can build a virtual team or decentralized or autonomous project team. Okay, then you can of course apply for a name of the team with our name service. Also, you can also have a wallet for the team or for each individuals. So that you can manage the team very easily. Yeah. So I'm not sure if I explained what you want.
That's good. That's good. So let me walk through the steps a little bit then. So Neo News Today, do I register on Zeepin as an organization, or do I register as Dean and then set up Neo News Today? What's the first step there?
Yeah, you should. You need if new news today need to not your personally you need to hire someone. So you need of course log on as new news today. So which is an organization. So this organization will also have the digital identity through a kind of similar to KYC process.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
And then I would be like a member of that particular organization that maybe had admin rights or something for Neo News Today or whatever it might be. And then, okay, so then I need to find my writers. So there's talent out there. They're on the Zeepin platform. They have their identity verified. They have their resumes encrypted. Do I post a job listing, or do I browse through listings of people who are looking for work there? And then is it me as the employer who has to pay the ZPT to view that resume? Is that right?
Yes. You still need to publish something. I don't think it's 100% decentralized. Okay, you still need a platform so that people can see what you need. But actually, when they transfer the information, we can use the technology of the blockchain.
Okay, cool.
And as I mentioned, the resume or the information are encrypted, so the other people cannot see it.
Okay. Yeah. All right. It's cool. So I've gone on, I've posted my listing. I've said, hey guys, we're looking for writers. This is the requirements. Writers on Zeepin, they see that. They go, great, that sounds like something that I want to be a part of. They submit their resumes. Only I can see that. It's encrypted. And then I pick, I say there's 3 writers I pick. I think these 3 people are great. I select them. Do they then get added to my Neo News Today organization? Can I bring them on as contributors? Is that how that works? And then can I assign them tasks on Zcrew? So I can say, all right, I need you guys to write an article on the upcoming Zeepin crowd sale, and they can, work on that item and then tick it off when it's done, like a normal kind of project management tool. Is that how that would work?
Yeah, exactly. So then you go to the Zcrew, and kind of all the people are in the same room, This is actually a decentralized project team, so that you can work together. So, and of course, once they write something, they can also apply for the copyright through the Z rights. Maybe we can talk a little later about it.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I want to get into that too. All right, so that makes a lot of sense. So let's move on to the next scenario. It's similar, but just a little bit, another spanner thrown in the works, I guess. So let's say we have a sportswear startup, and this company, they want to create, let's say, women's cycling jerseys. They want to do funky women's cycling jerseys. And on the team, they already have a graphic designer. So they don't need to find this person on Zeepin. However, they do need to find a fashion designer to maybe create the cut and style of the sports shirts. So that, I guess that will be a similar process to the one we just discussed, where they would post the job listing. However, in this scenario, they also want to crowdfund their first line. So what would be the steps they will go through there?
Wow. Okay. So I think this is a great example for I think the people that who may need the support from the community. Okay, and then also try to get some fundraising from our of course the community. I think first I think there are at least 2 steps. Okay, the first step is as you mentioned, they need a fashion designer, right? Fashion designer for their sportswear. Okay, so I think they have I would say 3 options to get the designer support. So the first is, as we have mentioned, that you can use Z-Talent, Zcrew to recruit the people, and then they can form a team in the Zcrew. Okay, and this, number 2, I think we will also have a kind of innovative repository, kind of library for those creative resources. So the team can also access it, and if they want to use anything that has already created by a designer, a fashion designer,
Right. Okay.
they can try to get it either buy it because we have copyright because all these information or resources are protected by the copyright pro in the Z rights, so they can buy or they can get authorized from the designer. So number 3 is they can also use our Zcrate, which is an interconnection platform to bridge the creators with those who need those creative ideas. And we can also use the Zcrate to realize, the peer-to-peer transaction of the digital asset. Okay, and of course, the payments can be done through the ZPT. Yeah. So yeah, basically there are many options for startup team to get the support from either designers, innovators in our community. Okay. So yeah.
All right, that sounds good. So let me just make sure I understand this correctly. So the first option they have would be to use something like Zcrew to find a designer and then bring them onto the team. The second option would be to use
existing resources.
Existing resource. A designer on the platform has already created a style of cycling jersey, and that exists as a digital asset on Zeepin. And then the organization could go and say, that's exactly what we're looking for. We want to buy this design, and then the rights to that design can be, they can purchase, I guess, a license to use that particular design, or purchase the rights to use that particular design.
This is actually a very fundamental application in our community, because when we talk about the digital assets, so for our industries, I think the very important thing is the copyright. So we created 2 different kinds of digital assets. One is we call the Copyright Pro. I mean, in the Z rights is another DApp. So anyone who created something, they can apply for it very, very easily. Okay, so for example, you create something now, and then you can upload the source file, and then we can get the hash code. Okay, the hash code. Then we can register hash code on the blockchain. Then Z rights will help to create a kind of Zeepin copyright certificate. Okay, because it's decentralized, it cannot be changed. Then with this copyright, you can also create authorization template. You can, for example, you can authorize your copyright for a certain region, or for how long time, and for which industry. Then you can create a lot of different authorization pro. This is another digital asset. So with Z rights, we can transfer the copyright pro and authorization pro very easily. Okay, as long as some people may like it, they can just either buy it or get authorized, and the whole system can check the records. So this is, I think, a very important also function of this Z rights.
Yeah. That sounds really good. So that sounds similar to like stock photo sites. So you go on and there's a photo, you can either pay like $3,000 to own that photo, or you can pay a smaller fee to have the rights to use that photo in a certain capacity for a certain amount of time, whatever that might be. So on using Z rights, we can do all that, and it's all automated on the blockchain and decentralized, and we have the certificate to prove and all that kind of stuff, and we can pay with ZPT, and that's all taken care of.
Yeah, the difference is the difference between the current centralized way to decentralized way is actually with blockchain technology we can really transfer the value. We call it value transfer. It means once you transferred, you may not own it now. So, for example, if we transfer a Word file to you, I still keep it. Right. But if we sell a copyright, I will never have that copyright.
Yeah. So
right?
that copyright. Sorry. I was
Yeah.
going to say that copyright pro certificate would be transferred from one user account to another user account.
Yeah, this is a value transfer, which is, I think, very important. How the unique characteristic for the blockchain technology.
Okay, great. So then the next part of this scenario was that the team, they've gone, so they've created their design, they've picked a fashion cut for this jersey they want to do, and they've said, great, this is brilliant, this is exactly what we envisioned. Now we need to go and get $200,000 so we can go and get these manufactured. We need to raise this from the community. What would they do next?
Well, this will be the really exciting part. So the team can then launch a crowdfunding project. Okay, so but we will also do like something like a due diligence with the digital identity of the organization or the digital assets they have, etc., etc. Then they can try to launch their project on the Z Fund. And the next step is we will have the community or some other people to really evaluate the project. Okay, if it passed our the evaluation, then they can really launch this project on the platform. So the next step will be, I would say, set a pre-sale for the ZPT holders. Okay, so the ZPT holders can then use a ZPT, right, to either invest or purchase some of those, for this crowdfunding project. But the funds funds can be locked up by the smart contract.
Okay.
According to the project timeline. Yeah. So the funds will be distributed to the team step by step. Okay. It will be very transparent, I think, process, so everyone can see. From design, to manufacturing, and even selling, right? So yeah, I think this we will try to make sure that to build the trust between the project team and all the other parts parts in this industry chain, and of course the including the investor.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So that means that we lock up it's just for people that are listening, they might have ICOs in their brain because that's going on all the time. In that scenario, the team gets all the money in one go. If you crowdfund something on Zeepin, there'll be milestones. So you might have 20% released at the first milestone, 20% released at the next, and so on and so forth. So that gets released to the team as they, actually start delivering a product and doing what they promised that they're going to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
Exactly. Yeah.
Sweet.
And for startup team, I think to protect their copyright is also very important. So for such a team, they also need to apply for the Copyright Pro or even the Authorization Pro.
Yeah.
And another D app is we call the Z-Sure. Z-Sure is actually we can provide the insurance service and also the legal consultation, especially when there is any right infringement, so that they can even claim for the compensation. So this is also very important, not just to protect the copyright, but also to ensure the protection through the other related services. Yeah.
Okay, can you explain that just a little bit more to me? So let's say I've got this jersey, we've crowdfunded, we've created it, and we're selling it. We've got it in stores. We've successfully launched the product, but then we find that another company has stolen our design and they're using it too. So using Z-Sure, how do we use Z-Sure to protect ourselves in that instance? What would we do?
Once anyone who get the Copyright Pro, I mean, they apply for the copyright protection from Zeepin, they will have the Zeepin copyright certificate. Okay, once they get it, then they can just buy the Z-Sure, buy from the Z-Sure kind of insurance. Then they can sign the insurance contract. Okay, which is very cheap. You can buy 1, 2, 3, then no problem. So, and then if we find someone else, they have how to say there is anything like the right infringement, then they can claim for compensation to the insurance company.
Okay, so you have insurance companies who are selling insurance via Zsure.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, all right. That's the part I was missing. All right, sweet.
Yeah. It's not Zeepin will not directly provide this service, but we will work together with the insurance company or the legal institutions, so that we can all support this. But it does not necessarily. We have to go through that compensation process, because Zeepin can also help if we find any right infringement. The first option is to have those guys who, they can actually buy the copyright, or they can buy the authorization, not just have to go to the go through the lawsuit or something like this. So basically, we hope that we can help to create a much healthier environment for the whole industry.
Yeah, sure. And I can definitely see how that would be valuable, because I've been involved in other organizations that have wanted to create a product and a startup business, and it was a product they hadn't seen before, but they were worried that they're on the short stack, they don't have a lot of money, and that if someone with millions of dollars sees this product, it would be very easy for them to rip off the copyright, just copy the product and put it in stores, and they don't have the money to battle those guys, to register the patents needed in all the different countries and so on. So I definitely see how that process could add a lot of value, especially to those smaller startups who want to really get in and start innovating, but are prevented by some of those concerns. So that's really great. All right.
Yes. Thank you.
So I'm clear on that. So I've got one more scenario, and this is actually one I've been in many times. And when I read about Zeepin for the first time, this is kind of where my mind went straight away. And so let's say we have a website that needs to be designed and built, and we have 4 different parties. The first one is the end client. The second one is their branding agency, who will create the design and maybe any design assets like logos if they don't already exist. The third is a digital studio who will actually build the website. And then the fourth is a copywriter who will write the content. Now, all these parties found each other off the platform, and they're working together transparently. The digital studio and the branding agency are working together to ensure whatever the branding agency designs will work from a code point of view. And the end client and the digital studio are in contact to discuss sort of functionality. And then the copywriter is in contact with all parties to ensure what they write fits with the brand tone, the templates that are being designed, and so on and so forth. So it's this one big collaborative, creative effort. And I think that creative, collaborative effort sounds like something that should be done on Zeepin. And, you were saying earlier that there's a lot of money in this creative space. I think a lot of this money is being passed around in this agency setting, where you've got these agencies with accounts for, Coca-Cola or McDonald's or these really big clients. So in this scenario as well, just to make it extra complicated for you, and you don't need to walk me through this whole one because I think there's too many layers here, but as always a common scenario in my scenario, the digital studio and the copywriter are actually suppliers to the branding agency, who is a supplier to the end client, right? So there are a lot of moving parts here. We've got, the IP issue. So the code will usually remain the IP and the copyright of the digital studio. The design will remain the IP and copyright of the branding studio. But when it comes to invoicing, we talk about ZPT payments and stuff as well. I'm interested to know what the level of transparency you can set here is, because the digital studio will invoice the branding agency, who will then mark up that work to charge the end client, right? So the branding agency might not want the end client to know how much the digital studio is charging them, but they still might want to automate all this over ZPT because of the security and, all the other benefits that go along with using this platform. So can you maybe just point out some specific issues that you can see Zeepin solving in this scenario? And is this even a use case that you're going for? Are you going for this high end, like the big clients who are working on these really big projects, or are you more trying to empower the little guy?
Yeah, this is really a great example of we call the distributed collaborative system.
Okay.
Yes, maybe as you mentioned, someone may like for the branding agency may not want the end client, right, to know how much they used for the digital studio or for the copywriters. Mm-hmm. So I think I think yes. So I think one important thing is that we will kind of reduce the middleman in the whole industry. Only in this way we can reduce the cost. Okay, mm-hmm. But we will still support all the parties, in this industry to work much closer or even more transparently. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I would say this is actually the essence of the smart economy, mm-hmm. Right? So when these you mentioned the branding agency, the digital studio, or the copyright and the end client worked together. So they should also solve the three points of this smart economy. One is actually the trust. Mm-hmm. Okay, so the trust issue is there, right? So without a central authority, it's difficult to form a trust in the collaborative system. Yep. So why I think we use the digital identity or whatever, credit score, etc., to make sure the trust is there. So if people can get trust more easily, the cost will be low. Okay, so number two is actually the data exchange also and the value transfer. We may have the security issues or whatever issues. So this is why we have the digital assets. So I think when branding agency need anything from the digital studio or copyright, they can still use our Zcrate or some other functions to transfer or to create and transfer the digital assets. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yep. So yeah, I would just introduce the Z rights, also Z rights, the details of the Z rights. And number three, as you mentioned, is the payment. Oh, okay, the payment. Mm-hmm. It can be not that really transparent because with a small group they can work together and use smart contracts to really transfer the APTs very transparently, but the other people cannot see it. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yep. So with this digital identity, digital assets, and the smart contract, we can really realize, the very important, also the news concept of the smart economy, and of course, as you mentioned, the collaboration worldwide. Yep. Okay. Yeah.
Excellent. So one thing I can really see valuable here is because this is a conversation that has come up countless times in this scenario is the IP. Mm-hmm. So I think, when I've been involved in projects before, like I said, that the digital studio will often retain the IP to the source code, right? But then maybe 6 months down the track, the end client decides they want that source code for themselves because they want to hire someone internally to come and work on the site. So using Z rights, then the digital agency could then say, okay, this is going to cost 10 grand for you to buy this source code. They can purchase that source code directly over Zeepin, and then that copyright for that code will be transferred from the digital agency to the end user, and they then own it. So the question I have there is, does the digital studio actually have to upload the source code to the Zeepin chain, or are we just uploading the location so that the chain can create a hash and a fingerprint for that source code? Where is that going to live?
Yeah, there's actually many options. Okay. First two options, you can either upload it to the Zeepin's website, or you can keep, in your personal computer. So if you upload to the website, then we can of course create a hash code. But only hash code will be registered on the blockchain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, and even if you upload to the website, you can still select if you want to open for the public or only open for authorized people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but if it is really important, or in the early stage, you don't want people to see, but you still want a copyright. So don't forget, for the blockchain technology, we also have, we call it, the zero knowledge proof, right?
Yep.
Zero knowledge proof. So we have another D app, not just the app, but you can install on your personal computer, mobile phone. We call it Z proof.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so with Z-proof, you can generate you can fix the source code, a source file, and then generate a hash code in your local computer or mobile phone. Then you can just upload that hash code to the blockchain. So even if you disclose nothing, you can still get your creation protected.
Yeah.
By Zeepin. You can even still have the Zeepin copyright.
Yep. Oh, that's awesome.
So yeah, that was really a very, very interesting application for most of people.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to allow just the regular creative person, whether it be a photographer or a musician or a designer, to essentially, as I understand it, create like a gallery or a online shop of all their assets that people can then come and create, purchase the rights to use in their own projects, and all those rights are insured. And, I think that's definitely going to empower a lot of creative people to take their talents to market, essentially.
Yeah. Yes.
Awesome.
So yeah, and the cost is very low.
Yeah.
And it is available 24 hours. Every day. Yeah. So, yeah, you can do it anytime.
Great. Now, and I just have one technical question. I understand you're building your own blockchain with on-chain, right? So, does that mean you're going to have like a dual blockchain architecture with your own chain and then the Neo public chain? And if that's the case, what's the role of each of those two chains?
Oh, yes. So we will build our own Zeepin chain, we call it. Okay, so this is actually a consortium chain.
Yep.
So we will have limited nodes that we will of course the authorized many different nodes. So we will try to manage it by those the consortium chain, but we still will use a news public chain for running the ZPT. Okay. So we will try to kind of to do some cross chain the application. So so we will use both the new public chain our Zeepin chain, which is a consortium chain. Yeah.
And will
but in future also have the Zeepin wallet. Okay, so Zeepin wallet. Yeah.
Cool. And will the digital assets, will they be registered on the Neo blockchain or the Zeepin chain?
On the Zeepin chain.
Okay, cool. Sweet.
Yeah,
that's clear.
The new public chain will only run the ZPT, the Zeepin token.
Okay, understood. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So your pre-sale starts on the 18th and runs to the 19th, as far as I understand it, of this month, which is January for anyone who is listening to this further down the track. And the crowd sale starts on the 20th, January the 20th. So do you want to give us some details on that sale? And if listeners want to get involved and, get some ZPT, where should they go?
Oh yeah, they can visit our official website, the zeepin.io. If our listeners may have any questions, they can also join our Telegram group. So we have admins who can answer the questions. Okay, so for yes, we are going to start from the pre-ICO from January 18th. The total ZPT token will be 1 billion, and the number of ZPTs for this ICO is 500 million.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so for any sales details, please log on to our website for all the details information.
Excellent. Yeah. Well, mate, this sounds like something that definitely has a need in the real world. It's something that, all the examples I gave you are actually things that I've been involved in the past. Or even the cycling jersey one, I've been in a startup that has had that problem, right? So, they're real world problems that I can definitely see the benefit of Zeepin, how it would solve those issues. So I'm really looking forward to see where this goes and following this project. So I want to thank you for coming on the show, and I want to thank you for talking us through this and explaining all this to our listeners. And I wish you all the best luck with your crowd sale and with the project in the future, mate.
Okay, thank you, Dean. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Shenbi. I appreciate it.